Well, I think what's important when you look at how spaces have been used, you have to look at when were things built. And one of the things that's always amazed me is that when we had the Teledora building and the Nautilus building, we also had all the administrative structure that you see here basically today, except for a few fill-in spots. But the Resident Activity Center, the administration building, the bank service building that you see there, the dining room and the kitchen, it was all there, as was the social center, and then all this space underneath all of that. So once the first residents moved in here, this space now occupied by the employee dining services was the dining room. In fact, if you look at some of the early pictures, you'll see a booth that is against that window over there, and you can see those steps going up to the motel office in the background. So that verifies what it was at that early time. And it was decorated in an interesting way, because in the back wall, it was all brick, and there were some arched bricks and some insets that sort of set it apart and made it kind of a nice dining room. So this actual space you see here, to the best of my recollection, was a dining room. It was fed off from a kitchen that was over in this location, and when I came here there were just a couple doors that went into this area, and it was just dilapidated equipment and a storage room of junk, and it was of very little purpose. But as the organization grew, even though there was what we call the Crystal Dining Room today, it wasn't used for that purpose at that time. After the use here of the employee dining room, which earlier was the residence dining area, when the population grew, they shifted it over to an area I'll show you in a moment, which included the space now occupied by Legacy, or the old Legacy office, and the meetings room. That was called the Orange Dining Room. There were big, gaudy orange lamps, and the carpet was orange. So rightfully it was called the Orange Dining Room, and that served a buffet service that again was served out of this kitchen, but then it was served out of that location. This half then of the dining room, or what used to be the dining room here, became the Stamp Ministry location. And I'm guessing that that occurred about 1979 to 1980, in that time frame. The employee dining room, prior to the relocation to this spot, was located first in what was the just a corner of the original Crystal Dining Room. The actual space between the social center and the existing kitchen, where the walkway is now that connects the two, was open, and golf carts parked in there, employee golf carts. And in that corner, that southwest corner of that building, was a seating for about 15 to 20 people, and you ordered through a window, and that was the employee dining room. When we built the closure between those two buildings, we moved the employee dining room down into the tunnel in the area that it was called the Village Store at that time, and it now has been converted to the storage area. Once we finished this location and renewed it for the employee dining room, we then moved it back into this location.